5 mics? 5?
There used to be a stove right in the middle of the ground. Well, the stove dumpers are made no one balls. It's great.
What about the CTV?
That doesn't surprise me.
Everybody in here have copies, just make sure, plenty of copies. Cleared some trees. Everybody get copies.
They're down right here.
I got it all, Dave.
You guys want a copy? I go down and get it.
I got one.
You need one? Need a copy?
You want a copy?
Yeah. One of each. One of each. Sure.
Doing well. I'm looking for somebody who's not here. Oh.
I know that. Hey, Ted.
That's it.
Grab some papers. Hey. Oh. Hey, Ted, there's papers down there.
Okay.
I'll grab them.
I'll bring them up to you, Ted.
Here you go, Ted. I got one for him. Pack. Go ahead and give this one.
I figure you want to go to this guy.
All right. Everybody would silence their cell phones, vibrate. Before we get started, once again, everybody got copies of all the trees, packets, anybody need copies of anything? Call the meeting to order. Pledge allegiance.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
O God, our Supreme Commander, we pray that you will be with us at this time to guide our work at this meeting. Grant us the wisdom to seek your will in all that we undertake and the courage to follow the direction that you would have us go. In seeking to serve our God and our country, may our efforts be of benefit to our fellow veterans and all the people of our community. We also pray, O Lord, for our comrades in hospitals or in homes who are suffering mental and physical illness or disability. Comfort them with the sense of your continuing presence, cheer them with the knowledge of your love, and grant them the blessing of health and happiness. We pray all this in your holy name. Amen.
Welcome. If you would look right in front of you, you got a microphone, make sure it's red. Make sure it's red. Just some housekeeping. Mileage sheets, delegates and alternates over here. If you want mileage, fill out those 2 sheets. Make sure you get them back. Sign them. There's a highlighted spot on each area where you'll sign. Everybody, I'm going to be going down strictly by the agenda. All right?
Where's the chairman? Or the vice chairman? You can't run this meeting. You're not a delegate.
I am the chairman.
No, you're not.
John.
You're not the chairman. You're not a delegate. You cannot hold a seat, and you can't vote. You need to get a delegate or alternate in that chair.
John, I'm not.
You are not the chairman.
All right. So I have a legal opinion.
I don't care what that legal opinion. You're not the chairman. You can't vote. The new law says no employee can be a delegate or alternate. And in order to run this meeting, you got to be a delegate or alternate to run this meeting. You cannot sit there and run the meeting.
All right. Shut up. You're out of order, John.
Get the chairman or the vice chairman.
John,
You can't call me out of order. You have no authority here. You do not run this meeting. If a chairman wants to call me out of order, I'll abide by his orders and be out of order. You do not have any authority in here. Get the chairman up there.
Hey, can you get the deputy? So anyway, just some
And
general
I can't
housekeeping.
believe the delegates and alternates are going to sit in there and let an employee run the meeting when the chairman or the vice chairman or the second vice chairman has a duty to do that. He has no authority to run the meeting, and you guys are going to sit there and let him do
You
that.
guys were here last time. There were numerous comments made as to the exact same thing as who was running this meeting.
You're not.
I went back and forth.
You have no authority in
How
this
about you
meeting.
let the man speak?
He has no authority in the meeting.
Let him see what he has to say.
Okay, talk.
Thank you. And I appreciate everybody who called me, all the commanders, delegates, posts, and they wanted somebody to chair the meeting. That was in the annual meeting when we went back and forth over this topic. And then Mr. Burkhart, our VAC attorney, issued a legal opinion stating that I can chair these meetings. You guys are the commission.
My God, you need to fire him.
don't you calm down?
He should not be sitting there and you shouldn't be
Why
letting him.
don't you let him talk?
He shouldn't be sitting
Why
there.
don't you let him talk?
I will. I'll talk to you outside. I'll show you the law.
Well, sir, I mean, just like a
Goodbye.
Continue on. So I just wanted to lay out kind of the format. It's going to be look a little different, but if you look at the agenda of the roll call of quorum, there's the legally seated delegates from 2022 that will take some action underneath 2A, and then that will close out their terms for 2022, and then we will move on underneath the 2023 seated delegates based off the delegate certifications forms that we received as of March 1st, 2023. And then that's the rest of the business. I want to kind of get through this quickly. There's some things as we go through this. There's some informational stuff that I'll just quickly go over. Everybody has a copy so you can follow along. When you hear your name, this is the 2022 delegates and alternates. When you hear your name, if you would just say President. American Legion 113, Delegate Anthony Bargel, alternate Ron Chayote. American Legion 126, Ronald Wright, no alternate listed. American Legion 199, Ron Swing. Here. Alternate Ron Eberhardt. American Legion 214, Larry Meisenheimer.
Present.
Alternate Bill Burton. American Legion 307, Don Shire.
Present.
No alternate certified. American Legion 354, Earl Watts. Direct Delegate Earl Watts.
Present.
Alternate Matthew Edwards. American Legion 365, Delegate Jesse Hoskin. Alternate, none certified. American Legion 435, Delegate Mike Harbison. Alternate, none certified. American Legion 435, Ken Morales. Alternate, none certified. American Legion 564, John Altman. Alternate, none certified. American Legion 665, James Schlepper.
Here.
Alternate, none certified. American Legion Delegate Brett Lehman. Alternate, Kim Schoner. American Legion 794, Delegate Phil Stevens. Alternate, Sean Myers. American Legion 1167, Delegate Richard Leijenberg. Alternate, Chris Furr. AMVETS 204, Delegate Steve Dyke. Alternate, Bud Champion. DAV 53, Terry Shepard. Alternate, Brian Hodebeck. DAV Chapter 90, Delegate Tom Hoppenrath. Alternate, none certified. Marine Corps League, Delegate 1160, Delegate Mark Nelson.
Present.
Alternate, James Freeman. BFW 976, Delegate Tim O'Donnell. Alternate, Anthony Avers. BFW Delegate Larry Miller. Alternate, none certified. BFW 1300, James Journal. Alternate, William Reimer. BFW 1308, Wayne Abel. Alternate, mid-year change, Brad Young.
Present.
BFW 2222, Delegate Ronnie Hicks. Alternate, Steve Kaiser. BFW 2859, Delegate Wayne Hunt. Alternate, Willard Smith. BFW 5691, Delegate Joseph Skipper.
Here.
Alternate, Donald Barkley. BFW 5694, Kate Broadhurst.
Present.
Alternate, Ricky Lilich. VFW 7678, Delegate Vernon LeClaire.
Present.
Mid-year change, alternate Chris Miller.
Present.
Is there anybody on the list that I did not catch? Anybody?
Is this supposed to be the current list?
No, that was 2022.
Thank you.
So with that list, those are the group that will vote on the consideration and approval of the December 15th, 2022 annual membership meeting minutes, which everybody should have a copy. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes. Some of you guys may already started reading them. That list that I just read off, those are the ones who will be approving those minutes after we read them.
If he's not the chairman, he don't have any authority. He can't even tell somebody to remove him, technically. Although you'd do it anyway, I'm sure. What was that? I couldn't hear you. When they
We gotta listen to this guy.
the public meeting, when they talk, when they talk, we have to hear it.
Stop. Is there a public speaking?
Yes, at the end.
Then that is where you talk, sir. There's no point disrupting the meeting. Have your say when it's proper time.
So, for the purpose of that first roll call, we have a quorum. I just want to let you know. Then we'll read the 2023, and then we will determine if we have a quorum for 2023 delegates and alternates. And if we don't, then we will adjourn the meeting. We won't have a quorum to do business. That's what we were talking about. seated delegates as of March 1st, 2022. We have a quorum, so I declare a quorum present to carry out the approval of the minutes that you guys just read for the 2022 delegates and or alternates who are here tonight to approve. We need a motion.
5691, I make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
Any discussion?
Discussion. Brad Young, post 1308, would like to request that the addition under roll call for quorum, that we add that after the debate regarding the validity of the delegates and alternates, that it was declared that those items had been addressed in the November meeting, validating those appointments.
I can't, I'd have to refer back, Brad, but just, if you want to just write down that, then I'll resume. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on, same thing. Like I said, we do have a quorum for the 2023 meeting to continue this meeting. So once again, now I will be reading off the seated delegates for the Veteran Service Organizations for 2023. This is the post delegates and alternates. Yep, sorry, the report.
You can't ask newly seated delegates to approve financials.
Yep. I skipped 2, I jumped to B. A2, the report, everybody have the report? So this would be, again, for the 2022 delegates and alternates. This is the fiscal report for the first quarter, the financial report for the first quarter. I'll be starting on page 3. The budget levy on the financial page for 2023 is $1,108,465.60. Our special revenue fund with the definition underneath there is, we have $1,072,559.47. Our checking account, $1,404.29. And our checking account, corporation fund, $6,145.97. Next page, number 4, administrative services. Those are the categories there. Cable television, 97, or internet, not cable. Contingencies, $41.30. Contractual services, $22,430. Dues and memberships, $1,400. Internet services, $26.87. Miscellaneous data processing equipment, $22.98. Miscellaneous office furniture, $32.99. Office supplies, $170.53. Outreach cost, $800. Postage, $34.06. Service contracts, $674.16. Staff training, $118.22. Telephone expenses, $211.30. For a total for the first quarter of $26,059.49. Page 5 is the financial assistance. First quarter, veterans assisted 27. Total vouchers issued 95. Contingencies, categories now starting. Contingencies, $3,669.13. Electricity payments, $3,725. $0.13. Food, $5,716.67. Funeral and burial, $900. Gas, $102.34. Incidentals, personal, $3,564.30. Monuments, memorials, $3,161.26. Pet supplies, $234.97. Sewage, $189.74. Shelter, $5,359.50. Transportation services, $292.50. Water, $309.09, for a total of $27,224.63. This being the 2022 delegates and alternates, since it fell underneath their tenure. From that role, I need a motion to accept the reports.
Chris Miller, Post 7678, motion carries approved.
Second.
5691, second.
Discussion.
Brad, could you talk a little bit more about the contractual services for $22,430?
So contractual services for that quarter, specifically for the last 3 months, was primarily the legal expenses. Contractual services is any time we engage with an outside third-party audit, accounting, anything like that, we pay for.
What was the monument for?
I believe, if I remember correctly, that would have been, I don't have the specifics on me, but it was discussed and approved. I think it was the Glen Carbon. Am I correct, Dave?
So,
Yep. Yeah.
replacing
Replacing fire doors.
making them handicap accessible.
Yeah, handicap accessibility. Handicap accessibility. Any other questions, discussion?
Question. Brad Yount, Post 1308. Could you share a little information about casework and what the VSOs are doing?
Yeah, so just for the purpose of this meeting, we're just doing financial reports.
Is there a point in time where you will share that information?
Yeah, we have it, you can come in and get it anytime. So, but for the purpose of this meeting, we're just doing financials. Any other questions? Hearing none, we had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carried. All right, moving on to the 2023, I think I said that earlier, I'm just going to do the exact same thing, I'm going to roll down. Now the 2022, people will not be called on here. These are the 2023 delegates and alternates that were selected by the Veteran Service Organization. American Legion 113, Delegate Ron Chiotic. Alternate Anthony Barger. American Legion 126, Tim O'Connell.
Present.
Alternate Tom Smith.
He's going to be replaced. The actual alternate is here, though.
We'll give it to you. American Legion 199, Ron Swain.
Here.
Alternate Wes Sterling. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I call Tom Smith?
You did.
Alternate for 199, Wes Sterling. American Legion 214, Delegate Larry Meisenheimer.
Present.
Alternate, none certified. American Legion 307, Don Shire.
Present.
Alternate, David Johnson.
Present.
American Legion 354 delegate Earl Watts.
Present.
Alternate Joshua Young. American Legion 365 Larry Rose. Alternate Wayne Powers. American Legion 435 delegate David Cobble.
David Coble, present.
Sorry. Alternate Mike Harbison. American Legion 439 Ken Morales. Alternate Brian Windsor. American Legion 564 John Altman. Alternate Dennis Pollard. American Legion 665 Catherine Coates. Alternate James Schlepper.
Here.
American Legion 708 delegate Brett Lehman. Alternate Kim Schomer. American Legion 794 Chris Johnson. Alternate Philip Stevens. American Legion 1167 delegate Richard Leichenberg. Alternate Vernon Cunningham. AMVETS 204 delegate uncertified, alternate uncertified. DAV 53 delegate Terry Shepard. Alternate David Borth.
Present.
DAV 90 delegate David Cotton.
Here.
Alternate Jerry Keel. Marine Corps League 1160 delegate Mark Nelson. Alternate Glenn Hyman.
Present.
VFW 976 delegate Anthony Avers. Alternate Chen O'Donnell. VFW 1299 delegate Larry Miller. Alternate Richard Dickover. VFW 1300 Bill Reichert. Alternate David Humiak. VFW 1308 Steve Katko. Alternate Brad Young.
Present.
VFW 2222 delegate Ronnie Hicks. Alternate Vernon LeClaire Jr.
Present.
VFW 2859 delegate Scott Grish.
Here.
Alternate Leroy Duncan. VFW 5691 Joseph Skipper.
Here.
Alternate Theodore Jackson.
Here.
VFW 5694 Kate Broadhurst.
Present.
Alternate Michael Vogel. VFW 7678 delegate Chris Miller.
Present.
Alternate Tim Brown. Anyone I missed, or anyone that is present that I did not call? We have 16 of the 27 veteran service corps.
Under the new law, you have to have a majority to have a quorum, no longer 10. So it's 16 present. We do have a quorum. Look at the 2020 business today.
We have 16 of the 27 veteran service organizations certified for 2023. At this time, we have a quorum to conduct the remaining business of this meeting. Next is the seating of the delegates for the 20 delegates and alternates for the 2023. Somebody want to make a motion to seat the
I'll make that motion. Alternate next.
second?
Jackson, 56, anyone alternate, second motion.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. Delegates and alternates for 2023 are properly seated. Motion carried. That right there is the changing of the guard.
Who seconded that motion? Jackson, 56, 81. 56, this is the alternate.
So, yes,
This is a point of order, just to make sure. Appreciate your second, but alternates can only,
It's a point of order. The alternates only vote in the absence of their delegate, but they fully have the authority to vote and make motions. But when the delegate's here, it's the delegate and the delegate only. Because the statute said each post gets one delegate and vote. So that's why I asked, actually the secretary brought to my attention when I asked her to make it legal. We need your delegates to make that second.
I'll second that. 56-9 wants to.
Sorry to be so formal, but we gotta,
A point of order, sir, that yeah, you're only half correct there. Your point is correct that to vote, only delegates may vote. Alternates may make motions, conduct any part of the business, they may not vote. You're absolutely correct on that by statute. But an alternate can make a second. That's not a vote, sir. And I thank you for trying to say that point. I'm glad I can point that out to you.
I will look into that.
You'll find the
Right.
right.
But I'd rather it be no questions asked.
There is an good clear. We were voting, sir. We were looking for motions. Had nothing to do with the vote.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you. The next number 3 item on the agenda is just information. Oh, I thought I did, I'm sorry. All in favor of seating the... Any nays? Any against? 2023 delegates and alternates are officially seated. Item number 3, this is just information and activity deemed to be of interest to the commission since the last membership meeting. Item A, you should have received a handout called the Open Meetings Act, OMA Training Disclosure. This is just a disclosure. You can read it. I'm just going to summarize what it is. By being seated, you guys can take the Open Meetings Act training. It's down there. It's the second to the last paragraph. It's electronic training for the Open Meetings Act. Is available free of charge from the Public Access Bureau's website at that web address. You can follow the tabs. It's kind of confusing when you walk through the website, but you can find it in the top left if you're on a computer. This is kind of post business, so if you're post delegate and alternate, then you can go back, take the training, and you kind of see the way the meeting flows go underneath the Open Meetings Act.
Question?
Hold on. So, it does not, however, prevent any properly seated delegate or alternate from casting a vote, nor is it grounds for revoking a properly seated, selected and seated delegate, right? So I can't force you guys to go home and take the training. If you do, then you can take the training, again, they'll print a certificate off, you can give it to your post for filing. Any questions or discussion, Chris?
Yes. If we've already got that, you said send it off to our post. Do you also need a copy for records up here or whatnot?
No, we're not going to be responsible. If that's the last paragraph there, we're not responsible for the tracking of that.
Okay, no further questions.
Fiscal year reoccurring commission schedule. This is brought up, I mean, we've been doing this every year for as long as I've been here. I also want to point out too, I did print off just so with the 2023 people, the delegates and alternates may have not gotten the schedule of all our meetings for this year. So you have a paper copy. It was also published. It was approved at the annual meeting. So I'm just passing that out for you new delegates and alternates. And then the other thing is the reoccurring fiscal year commission schedule. So statutorily, if you look at that first quarter, which is this meeting right here, we are fulfilling the statutory obligation that we are performed during this meeting. So all business outside of that, that's why we're here. Anything else that is carried out during that quarter, this is what we have to do, what we just did. And thank you for bearing with us as we went through those two rosters. Did you see the second quarter? So second quarter is just adjust the necessary needed budget. That's what gets discussed in between meetings here up until June. And then in June, we'll come back together. Then we need the commission here to be presented the budget, to discuss it, and then pass it. Third quarter, there's no statutory statutory obligated items, but that's typically when we would do any announcements or directors' vacancies as necessary. Then the fourth quarter would be the adoption of the annual commission meeting dates again, which I just gave you. Annual reports to the governor, and if there were any election of officers and directors as necessary and appropriate. So a lot of you guys asked, well, it was discussed a lot last meeting. What are you guys required to do? This is it. And anything else that may become law or change as a result of the law. Those are the things that have to get done during the fiscal year. Last year, we didn't have to go through the full budget process because it was underneath the old statute. So as things change, we'll grow with it. That's where it says subject to change. That's not anything locked in stone like the meeting date. Any questions over any of that item, your information and activity for the fiscal year recurring schedule? The next, Public Act 102-1132, or amendments to the Military Veterans Assistance Act, became effective February 10, 2023. There's a lot of changes in that. I know everybody's just itching to pull that up and read it, right? It changed, it was amended in May, and then a trailer bill was proposed, and then that trailer bill passed here in Illinois and was signed by the governor February 10th, 2023, making it law. Since the passage of it in May, that's what we've been doing as in the VAC, is making sure that we're, from May all the way up until the February timeframe, we're operating underneath that law. And then February 10th, so we've only been, what, a little over a month now since that new statute was signed. And that is why Mr. Burkhart is here, because we have been taking a deep dive in all that so we can understand it. So then we have questions after Mr. Burkhart gets his legal opinion on different questions that I may have pertaining to the VAC and how we operate, and any questions that may come forward from you guys through me. And then it's a back and forth until we understand this, because there's a lot of vague things, there's a lot of discrepancies, there's a lot of contradicting language in the law, and the only way that that can be hammered out is via an attorney. And then if there's still a question of law after that, then the lawyers go across to the lovely building next door, and then that's where they get a ruling, and then that's where either the judge makes a ruling in one way or another. So we're only a month into this, so none of that has happened. And over the course of the Military Veterans Assistance Act, I was of the opinion, and we fought hard here in Madison County, that there was nothing wrong with that statute. And the changes that were made created and caused, in my opinion, a lot more confusion than what was necessary. But we live with what the will of the legislature has imposed upon us. If we want to change that, of course, we can get back and propose changes, but all of those are formed in legal arguments. And when we form legal arguments, we just do not have opinions being expressed or yelled out from someone who is not an attorney or a lawyer, and that's where we misstep. And I would hope that you guys all, just like me, respect the rule of law, we respect our Constitution, and we let all this play out over a period of time. And while it plays out, we want to be prepared here in Madison County, because if something is imposed down upon us that we're not legally statutorily obligated to do or perform underneath the statute, then we want to make sure that we're on solid ground if a challenge comes up to that. And I've I've interpreted and read a lot of the old statutes, and as we went through our cases, I worked with our attorney here, and it's my firm belief that we probably have a pretty good understanding of everything. We pretty much treat out a lot of the arguments and the questions that we may have that may come up, and that is what that earlier Skip, your question was about. There's a lot of communication going on right now. So then if something comes up, because there was a lot of things last meeting at the annual meeting that people were shouting out laws, and I am not going to get into the legal business this time around with this. And we have the money. That's why we allocated money in our budget. That's why we allocated money in our budget when we fought the county, I think 5 times here locally at the circuit court level. And then that's what we won and fought for when we argued in front of the appellate court 3 times and won 3 each and every time. And each and every time, they said the VAC hires its own attorneys. And the VAC pays those bills. And then the 3 appellate court victories after we finally won, our last victory in the county, here in Madison County, we settled. And we got nearly we did get $650,000 back, which was you guys' money. And I want to make sure we follow the rule of law, not just for me, but for every one of you, so we're on solid legal ground. And that's all I'll say about that. That's why he's here. He's not here to do a question and answer back and forth. So, any questions about that? All right. Unfinished business. This was brought up. We've proposed. We put in place. We purchased software in the past. I think we're on our 3rd iteration. So there's, everywhere you go, dentist office, doctor's office, no matter where you go, they have what's called a CMS system or customer management system that manages their clients, patients, or whoever. When they come into their office, they can pull up your files, see notes, submit forms, sign documents. So we're on our 3rd iteration of one of our customer management systems that we all put in place before, and we've all had discussion. The last one was put in place because of COVID, because we couldn't electronically sign documents. And we're underneath the new law, we have to bring purchases before you as the commission in order for you to approve them. So I'm just thinking back when we did that, if we would have had to wait, number one, they as you remember, they stopped having meetings. We continued to have meetings, and I believe we were the only ones that were open during COVID. And so we've purchased software like this before. The only difference is this is to manage our financial assistance. So everything I just went over in that financial report, Jason Burke, our IT, is here, and we've come a long way, probably in the last 3 or 4 years. And there's no software out there that you can pull off the shelf. I go to Walmart, pull it off the shelf, and say, oh, this is, perfectly fits our need. The software that we're talking about here is on this handout here, and on the back is the quote and the pricing of what we're going to do. Like I said, I worked heavily in the background with this financial assistance. That's what I do. I approve all these financial assistance. I meet with all of these veterans. I go over all their financial, household finances. And right now, we've taken it to the point to where we're tracking and managing everything in that process through Microsoft Access, which is, Jason did a fantastic job of putting that together for us. But it's not the best way to manage these clients, I guess you would say, that come in for financial assistance. When we were back in COVID, we had to collect all of their documents. Some of them PII, personal private information, right? And back then, the county, we couldn't even get, they had so much security locked down, the county, IT, that it is so difficult for me to jump on my tablet or another computer system and access files outside of the office. I mean, it is literally impossible. And then when I log in, I might get 4 minutes of screen time, and then it times me out, and then I have to go through the entire process again. This right here will eliminate that, and it will bring us in line with what we are currently using to manage our other side of our office, which is the claims, which Brad brought up earlier. And I will be able to log into a secure portal. I will be able to send a link out to a veteran that is applied for financial assistance. They will get a secure login. They will be able to log in, put all their financials in, attach any records that I may need, and then hit submit, and then all of those come over to me securely. Versus right now, they walk them in, they email them to us. I can't prevent stuff from coming to us email, but now the county is locking that up even harder and harder and harder. I can't override their software, so any number combination that may mimic or appear to be like a social security number, we get a nice flash thing, it's called Mindcast or something, that pops up now that says there's potential personal private information in here or other information that they have deemed to be blocked. And then I have to go in there and click on each one of those and review it in order to allow it to come through to my email. And this is just the security environment that we're working in. And I would hope that each one of you guys, if you were to apply, that you would want some software to help manage that process securely, efficiently, and it also takes out some of the human element out of it, right? Because there are certain requirements and standards that applicants must meet, and then we put those into the computer, and the computer helps me make some of those decisions based off of their income or the guidelines for various programs. So that's what I'm asking you guys to approve tonight. I think we need it. One of our statutory obligations is to help veterans that are indigent apply, and this just helps me do my job better, helps the VAC, and it helps you and your membership.
Question.
Who's that?
Question.
Yes, please.
Last month, when it was presented, did the officers of the board get a copy of the contract? And if so, what are their thoughts on the copy of the contract?
So,
before we move forward, sir.
yeah, so this is kind of the proposal, right? This is what we get. I've already kind of went through with the, I don't know, like maybe 4 or 5 months ago, where we were able to log in as a staff, see kind of it wasn't exactly customized to the VAC, but it was the same program. It's just the only thing that will happen is a lot of the stuff we changed, it'll have our name on it, it'll have our specific data that we're collecting. So yes, it was presented to the commission, the previous commissions on multiple occasions leading up to this, because like I said, we've been building this for over 4 years, I would say 4 or 5 years. And this is just a combination. And as I was administering the assistance, Jason was kind of watching me, and him and I were building this Frankenstein kind of that we're using right now, I guess you would say. Prototype, there you go. And then I went and we started shopping around, and Jason's more than welcome to come up here from speaking out of line. We went to the county, right, IT, and they just told us this was when we needed to do during COVID, because we still had to administer assistance to the veterans during COVID. And the county said, Brad, we can't even get to you. It's impossible. We're trying to keep the courts running. We're trying to do all this. It's all fine and dandy. They would like to have this to help your office, but they couldn't dedicate the time. So they kicked it out there. Jason and I think we met with 2 other Microsoft, what are they called, certified certified developers that are certified in developing applications, because this is what this is, an application, and databases. Jason had already kind of built the database, right, in the background, and then what they will do is transfer those data out of our database that Jason built over into your secure Oracle database. And then we will start getting a lot more detailed information, because we'll be able to pull reports much quicker, much more efficiently, and administer the assistance. So I don't want to keep on going on. Did that answer your question, Chris? Oh, the board. Oh, yes. So the board did, I guess, a vote, and there was only one question that came back, and that was from Dr. Harbison. He was an executive board officer, and it was related to item under pricing, annual renewal, hosting, domain name, and SSL certificate for $1,200. That's an annual thing. You know, like when you guys visit the websites and it, pops up that this site may, your private information may be put in here, blah, blah, blah. This is and it also is where, I guess, when somebody enters the information and they put their password in or however, it points it to the correct database.
You want me to give a better explanation?
Yes, quickly. Sorry.
Problem. So the yearly fees are pretty standard. They are hosting the application and the database, and we have fees that have to be paid to the database developer, which is Oracle. Oracle usually charges around $3,600 to $5,600 a year for their software. So that's what they use. They're using a Oracle tool to develop this. They're taking our prototypes and pulling it right in so that we know that we'll do what we want to do. So part of that cost is the licensing fees for Oracle, which is why it seemed high. It seemed high to me when I first looked at it as well. But also we have they're hosting the application, which means that we also have fees for bandwidth, server usage, and things like that. So that's where the cost is at. I think the concern that Mr. Harbison had was that certain issues in the past, he wanted to make sure that we were safe and not going to be able to lose our data or lose anything that's important to our intellectual property, such as domain names and what have you. And this is just a subdomain underneath their hosting. Even if it was to go away, it wouldn't matter because we will have full access to the application since we're paying for it. So we could move that wherever we wanted to in the future. We have our own domain called MadisonCountyDHC.org that we use for all our Google stuff. That's not going away. So there's really nothing to worry about as far as any shenanigans the company might try would be a non-issue for us.
Yeah, and if I had to go do this every year, renew a contract for that $1,200, it would probably cost me more time just fumbling around trying to figure it out. But thank you. The other thing is this.
One more question on that. So that if we do this, the 24,000 is a one-time fee, right? We don't have to continuously pay that. It's just we pay the $1,100.
Well, the annual support.
Correct. We have fees for the actual development of the software, so they will charge us basically an hour rate for their development, and that's what they're averaging. They're quoting us for an average. That might change. We haven't got all of the final requirements hammered out, so it might change a little bit, but I suspect it probably won't change very much. They probably quoted us high in the Fed with the idea that it might change.
And our other systems, Chris, are per user. So we pay a per user fee. And this is as many users as we need. But right now, as it stands, I would be the primarily one that's using this software. And that is, if we needed to roll out different portions, or if I needed to go back and say, we need to add this in, that would be in that support.
Understood. As long as we're not paying the $24,000 yearly to use
No.
this.
if you guys want to see kind of the basis of the standards, if you visit our website, they've had some cards out there and magnets. Our website's on the top. You can visit our website, and our website is probably the most comprehensive website out there across the entire state. When we went into COVID, instead of everybody calling me and I have to explain to everybody the standards, we put everything public facing, and then we worked through it online. I visited pretty much every other VAC's website across the state, and many of them I couldn't even find how to apply for financial assistance, which is embarrassing, but that's not us, and this would be good for us. Any other questions? Sorry, there was it's a lot. And just one more point. This is the only third time that I think we've spent this much money on anything. The other two times we purchased the DAV there. So
The other thing is that some of the money from this is not coming directly from the county levy either. It's coming from the money that was given to us by settlement.
Yeah, for the crisis, yeah, we can use that. But we have enough money. You can look at that. We have over $1 million in reserve, so. Any other questions? Hearing none, somebody would like to make a motion?
5691 Skipper, I'd like to make a motion to accept the contract bid from EMK Consulting.
Second?
Alton Post, 126, second.
I want to make sure that we don't get this wrong again. You are the delegate or the seated alternate, right? All right. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. New business. So for here, if the delegate is here, they're the ones who gets, like Mr. Burkhardt explained, I'm just going to reiterate, they're the ones who can be recognized for the purpose of any new matters that the membership needs to address or would like to address. Yeah, if the delegate is not present and the alternate is here, then they are the ones that vote. Step in there.
That's it. Mr. Superintendent,
Sorry.
it's not the purpose to stifle the alternates and the people who are here. The purpose of the voting is clear. Ask your attorneys, they'll tell you Robert's Rule, Demeter's, all the alternate can do. You can do everything except vote. That will help them in the chair next to you. So we can make motions, we can do all those things, but only on the vote. We can stand up and urge the 11 delegates who are here to vote, and only the 11 delegates. But we're not prohibited from any open speaking or sharing or recommending, up to and including making a motion.
You are
That
correct.
should be clear. Thank you.
All right. I didn't hear it the first time. Okay. Sorry. I did hear it the first time. I didn't listen the first time. All right. So, once again, if you want to make a comment, get my attention, make your comment, ask your questions.
I've got a question.
Yes, correct.
So last month you had stated that you would provide a copy of the contract and that the elected officers wanted to review and make an opinion. I would like to know what the opinion of our elected officers were. Not that I question the software. And I trust that the capabilities of the IT systems and application specialists, I know they're outstanding. I have no doubt the software is great, but the process is that our officers wanted to review it. Since they're the only ones to see the contract, we're all about to vote on a contract that none of us have seen. Is it possible that one of our officers has something to say or maybe a recommendation for the contract before we vote on it?
Sorry.
I mean, this is what I was provided by them after discussion again. So, I mean, this is what we're purchasing. Outside of them laying out what they're going to do per hour, I don't know.
I think the question is, whether you want the executive board
finalized, be sure that the BAC will own any code that they develop. We will be able to move it to wherever server that we want. Otherwise, we won't sign that contract.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you see too, when after IT said that they weren't gonna be able to help us, then that's when we went back to the county IT, and then he referred us to the mental health board, who uses this pretty much exact same format for the way they manage their clientele and contracts. They go out through all of Madison County for mental health. Any other questions, delegates or alternates?
Yeah, one final comment that would help everybody alleviate, we'll be able to see them in the quarterly financials if there's any questions, so there's no reason to worry about it. If it's not there, we'll see it, find it in the meeting.
Yeah. And I'm gonna bring it up, have enough, we wanna share everything we can with everybody, You can even come in, as we start to go through the development process, they're gonna give you checkpoints along the way. They've already done that, so. Anyone else? Hearing no other issues pertaining to personnel, matters from the body, move on to the last order of business, Open Meetings Act opportunity for public comment. I just want to let everybody know, if you are a member of the public and you wish to make a comment, you can come down here to the mic. We're going to give you your due time. Once it starts getting past, or if it's getting late, we just to keep good order and quorum of the meeting, we will ask you to begin wrapping it up, and then we will invite any other guests down to make a comment. Are there any questions?
One question, Mr. Superintendent, is the open public, we ask them to at least identify if they were former military, or just, I know it's an allegation, but I'd like to know what they're speaking towards, because this is specifically a veterans matter, or veterans matter. Thank you.
John, you have to hit. All right.
Right here?
Green, you're good to go.
Can everybody hear me? My name is John Kraft. I'm a 22-year retired U.S. Army engineer. I'm a member of the FW Post 3601 in Paris, Illinois. I'm a member of the American Legion Post 211 in Paris, Illinois. I'm a member of the American Legion Post Patriot Guard Riders Post 210 in Danville, Illinois. I'm a member of the 48 in Paris, 48 in Paris, Illinois. I'm also a member of the Edgar County Watchdogs, member of the Society of Professional Journalism, Investigative Editors Reporters, Media Law Resource Center, and the Chicago Headline Club. And I'm a Master Mason. And I am here well, you heard my discussion at the beginning of the meeting. I stand on what I said. I'm not going to reiterate it. A delegate or alternate has the duty to sit there and chair the meeting. You have a chairman and a vice chairman and several other officers. One of those people should have stepped up and said, no, not tonight. We are going to run our meeting. You are an employee, and you might be a contracted attorney with us. That's still under question. But we, the delegates or alternates, run this meeting. I'm not a delegate or alternate of this commission. I don't live in Madison County. I work all over the state and all over the country on issues like this. We worked in Will County for the better part of 6 to 8 months last year, which is how the amendment came to the Military Veterans Assistance Act. And here is one of the first items that was changed. Service organizations are given until March 1st to respond to the Commission's request for delegates and alternates. At which time, we're talking about March 1st, at which time those selected and duly appointed delegates and alternates shall begin their term of office with full voting rights.
those duly appointed delegates and alternates shall begin their term of office on March 1 with full voting rights. The delegates and the alternates have full voting rights. Not one of them at a meeting. Full voting rights also includes motioning and seconding. They can't take that away from you guys. It's written in the law now. Another item, nobody asked, and I understand it's a new law. You guys probably haven't read it. At your last meeting, I think your superintendent advised you not to read it because you're not an attorney and you wouldn't understand it. But it's not hard. Laws are not hard to understand. Section, I believe it's 9G. Each note, when you just approved that $14,000 plus or was it $24,750 contract, nobody asked if that complied with the county purchasing policy. Before February this year, it didn't matter. But since February this year, it does matter. The new law. And this came about because the Will County Veterans Assistance Commission handed out a $500,000 no-bid contract to a brand new company and paid it all up front. It was for social media marketing, and they didn't get hardly any marketing done. Now they're trying to recoup at least half of that $500,000 they gave out to a friend of the superintendent who's no longer working there. And that company that got it is no longer in business. But here's what it's changed to. And I'll try to be fast. Each Veterans Assistance Commission shall, in writing, adopt all applicable policies already established and in place in the respective county, including but not limited to policies related to compensation, employee rights, ethics, procurement, and budget, and shall adapt those policies to fit its organizational structure. That's the only adaptation they can do to fit their organizational structure. That doesn't mean if the county has a policy that requires putting things out for bid at $5,000 that you can adapt that and say, no, we're going to do $25,000. No, that's not an organizational structure change. That's a dollar amount change. So I would urge somebody to reconsider that vote because I doubt it complies with the county policy, and if it does, that's fine, but you should know that it does comply because the law took effect over a month ago. And it continues on, but,
Continue, start wrapping it up, please.
after the policies shall then be considered the policies of the Veterans Assistance Commission and shall be implemented and adhered to by the superintendent and the commission. And there's another section in there, section 9.1, it's all new. The Attorney General now has enforcement policies against commissions that violate the previous section or sections that I read to you. The Attorney General can come down when they find out that something is violated. I'm urging you not to violate it. I appear at public meetings all over the place, and I try to urge people to comply with the law. The reason why I was so loud at the beginning, I've never seen an employee of any public body running a meeting, and especially for veterans, to let an employee run one of your meetings. I can't believe it. I can't believe nobody stood up and said not tonight.
Thank you, John. Anyone else want to make a public comment?
I would urge you to change things and change it fast.
I thought I seen somebody else.
If you want to talk after the meeting, I'll be available.
Any other public comment?
Mr. Superintendent, as we go forward, I think a vote would be good for public meetings and such, but the people that speak or go to the mic, they should be a member of the county. And we should at least make them a member of Madison County, and then they want to come and speak and service want to hear. And speaking limit, 5 minutes, so that people, we can just move on. But they should at least be from this county. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I have something to say.
You can
Dave, come down to the county. We'll let you know.
I would like to say I've been in Madison County since 2017, and everybody's always been professional. We open up our meetings with prayer. We're all ex-military, and so the way we handle and conduct ourselves is very important. And I don't think someone with 22 years displayed that type of discipline. You know, we have one person that does disagree, but he's always professional. So even if I disagree with you, you've always been professional. So to have an outsider come here and disrupt our meeting at the very beginning, that just wasn't very professional. So I want to commend those people that are here that has taught me, because I've come in very raw. But I've attended the veterans with the Vietnam, the American Legion, the DAV, have always been professional and have shown that they were actually ex-military. So I would just like for us to remind that we keep that type of, position and attitude, And like I said, we open the meetings with prayer. So we want the Holy Spirit to guide us, and we teach, we treat one another with respect and know that we all are veterans. So I just want to say that.